In this InDesign module, we're going to make business cards. Business cards are great because if you have a really nicely designed one, it's very memorable. We'll do 3 business cards and they're all going to share the same layout. They'll have an image on the right side and the text will be on the left side. Since we're going to use the same layout for all 3 business cards, we're going to create parent pages in InDesign. Parent pages are like templates because you can use them over and over in your document. You can put anything that's repeated on more than one page on your parent page, and then apply that parent page to all the document pages that need that thing. I could put a logo on the parent page if I was making a whole bunch of business cards for one company and all the cards had the same logo. Because you can put things on the parent page, you can make your designs much more consistent, and you don't have to format every single page. Start InDesign and click Create New. Click Print, and then click View All Presets. Scroll down to find the US business card. The business card is 21p0, which is picas, by 12 picas. There are 6 picas in an inch, so 21 is 3.5 inches and 12 is 2 inches. A standard business card is 3.5 by 2 inches. Click Create. And this is our business card. It's really large because it's filling our screen. If we switch to view it at 100%, we get a better idea of how big it is. Then we're going to go to the Pages panel, and we're going to click the A Parent page. Double tap that, and now you'll see 2 business card pages. This is set up like pages in a book where they face each other, and that isn't really what we want. So we're going to close this document, and we're going to go back and create new. Get our business card again. And this time over here on the right hand side, we're going to uncheck where it says facing pages and then click Create. If we click on our A Parent, now we have 1 business card here. Again, if we go to 100% for our view, this is our business card. The A Parent page looks just like your document page, but we know we have it selected because it's highlighted in the Pages panel. We see the pink and purple margin line, which is a default of a 1/2 inch margin. On a design that's 3.5 inches across, a 1/2 inch margin is pretty much meaningless. So we'll actually get rid of it by going to the Layout menu, choosing Margins and Columns. And in the Margins and Columns box, we'll change the top margin to 0. All of the margins are linked, so they turn to 0 as well. Then click OK. And now we have a blank white card. We're going to click on the left ruler and drag a guide out to 12 picas, which creates a square space on the left side of the card and a rectangular space on the right side of the card. And then we're going to get our frame tool, and we will draw a square frame using that guide so that the left-hand side of the card is filled with the square graphics frame. And now we're going to drag another guide from the left ruler and put it at 13 picas, and 1 more guide, and we're going to put it over near the other side at 20 picas. Put these guides on the parent page because we want to be able to use them on all the pages in our document. We'll be creating more than 1 business card, and we want each card to follow the same formatting. Double click on page 1 in our Pages panel. This looks exactly like our parent page. So we can see that the guides have automatically transferred over to that page. Right, now we're going to click on Parent Page A and drag below page 1 to create page 2. Okay, page 2 also has the same guides, and if we zoom out a lot, we can see both pages and that they all have the same guides. Let's go to Parent Page A again and drag 1 more copy and drop it below page 2. Now we see we have 3 pages with exactly the same guides. We're going to go back to Parent Page A and add 1 more thing. So double click Parent Page A. We can make it larger so we can see the whole thing, either by using the zoom menu, or we can just press Command or Control 0 and it will fill our screen. Okay, we're going to add a text frame on the right hand side. But before we do that, we want to change the text preferences. We'll go to the InDesign menu on a Mac or the Edit menu on a PC, select Preferences and point to Type. And we're going to uncheck Smart Text Reflow. Smart Text Reflow automatically adds new pages if there's too much text, and we don't want to do that. We want to keep the text on one page. So we'll uncheck that and click OK. All right, now we're going to get our text tool. So if you still see Type on a Path from the last exercise, 2-finger tap or Command Control click on your Type on a Path tool and select your Type tool. And we'll draw a text box between the two guides on the right hand side of the page. Right now, if we switch to page 1 by double clicking on that, we'll see the text frame is already there. It's also on pages 2 and 3. Okay, now we're going to place picture in our graphics frame that's on the left hand side. So we'll go to the File menu, Place, pick canoe.jpg and click Open. Click the thumbnail of the picture on the frame and the picture will fill the frame. The picture is actually a lot larger than the frame. So we're going to go to the Properties panel, and under Frame Fitting, we're going to tap Fill Frame Proportionally. This is the same thing that we were doing by going to the Object menu, choosing Fitting, and picking from that menu. You'll find that the Property panel and other panels in InDesign repeat a lot of what you see in the menus. So if you like menus, you can do it that way. If you like the Properties panel, you can do it this way. Okay, so there's our picture. Okay, now we're going to place the text in the frame on the right-hand side. So back to File menu, Place, and we're going to choose the B-card text. Click Open. So it went into the picture frame because it always goes into whatever's selected, and we did not deselect the picture frame. So let's undo that. We're going to click outside of the graphics frame so it's not selected, and then we'll go back and get our text again. File, Place, B-card text, and Open. Okay, now we see the text thumbnail, and we just click it here on the text frame, and it fills that. It's also large for the text frame, so we will click 5 times to select it all. If you can't tap 5 times, you can go under Edit and select all there. Right, now we're going to change the size using our Shift, Command, or Control and comma. So that's all the text fitting in the frame. We're going to change the font. So under the character part of the Properties panel, I'm going to change it to Minion Pro. If you don't have Minion Pro, you can choose something similar. Now I notice that the URL part down at the bottom doesn't fit across the whole line. So I'm going to select all the text again and do one more Command Shift comma so that all the lines of text fit nicely in the width of the box. Okay, I'm going to pick the top line by clicking 3 times on it. I want to change it to bold. So I'll pick the Style menu under my font or under my character part of the Properties panel and switch to bold. Okay, I want to make this one bigger, so I'm now going to use Shift Command period and once, maybe twice. Click that twice to make it bigger, and I'm going to now select the second line of text, and I'm going to put some space between it and the top line. So I'm going to use the paragraph settings in the Properties panel. I need more than the alignment buttons there, so I click the 3 dots. And I'm going to use space before, which is this one here. I'm going to put 2 P6, so that's 2 picas and 6 points, which moves that down a lot. And then I'm going to click 3 times to get the URL at the bottom, and I'll put some space before that as well. And this one I'm going to use 1 pica, 3 points. So that moves down too. Now I'm going to add some color to the text. So we'll go back to the top line, get my eyedropper tool, and I'm going to click on the bright pink of the boat. It looks green because it's selected right now, but if we unselect, we'll see that it's pink. And then I'm going to select the rest of the text. You click and drag to do that. And I'm going to make it blue. So I'll pick the eyedropper tool and click on a nice deep blue from the water. Deselect and look at that. Okay, so I have a nicely formatted business card with picture, text, colors from the picture, and so forth. I want to get rid of the guidelines and make it look like it will when it prints out. So we know that we can go to the View menu and turn our guidelines off there. We can also go to the View menu and switch our screen mode to Preview, which will remove the guidelines as well. By using colors from the picture, we create a very harmonious design. We're repeating colors that we found in the picture. We're repeating the font, but using slightly different styles to make it bolder at the top. We also have good contrast because we have enough white space on the side to make the words stand out and have equal importance to the very vivid picture that's on the left side. Good, now we'll switch to the next page by going back to our Pages panel and double-clicking on page 2. Okay, we can't see any of our guides because we switched our view to preview. So let's go back to normal so we can see the layout guides that we'll be using. On page 2, we're going to make another business card. We'll use the same parent page layout because we want to arrange the card in a similar way so that they're all uniform. On this business card, we're going to place a logo that has some colors in it already. We're going to get the colors into InDesign from the logo, but we're not going to use the eyedropper. We're actually going to have them imported because the logo was created in another Adobe app. Go to the File menu, pick Place, and this time we're going to pick the ligature blue. Ligature means a 2-letter combination, so it's like a logo. Click the thumbnail on the graphics frame on the left-hand side, and again, it's much bigger than the frame. So we'll switch back to the properties and we'll use Fit Frame Proportionally to get our logo centered in that box. Okay, now we'll switch to the Type tool, and we're going to type our information in the box on the right-hand side. Okay, but the box right now is part of the parent page guide. It is not selectable. So to make it selectable, we need to press Shift and Command or Shift and Control, and then click on the box. Now it behaves like any text box. So you click the text tool on it, and you see the blinking cursor so you can start typing. You're going to type your name, address, and email or URL or something like that. And now we're going to look at colors. So we will go to the Window menu and select Swatches. And when we open the Swatches panel, there's a bunch of default swatches at the top, but at the very bottom we have a swatch called Dark Blue and another one called Light Green. These swatches came from the logo when I imported it. They were used to create the logo in another Adobe program. So InDesign is aware of the actual colors that were chosen when the logo was created, which is nice because we can now use those again to put color on our text. Okay, first we're going to format all our text. So select all of it and choose a font. This time I'm going to go with Myriad Pro again, but I want to pick a bold condensed so that my letters are much narrower and they fit nicely in the text frame. Okay, we're going to start by selecting the top line and picking dark blue. We'll select the address and pick light green, and we'll select the URL and pick dark blue. Okay, now we're going to add some space between the name and the address. So remember we used the paragraph settings for that, which are still open over here in the Properties panel, and we want space before. It's going to be 1p3. But notice it put that between the name and the top line of the address, and also between 2 lines of the address. Since I don't want it spread out like that, I'm going to undo those and just pick the top line of the address and put 1p3 there. Okay, I'm also going to move the URL down, same amount, 1p3. If I want to make my address fit nicely on 2 lines without the zip code hanging out down there, we can select all of that, use Shift Command comma. Well, that will make the font smaller so that it all fits on 1 line. I don't have a lot over here on the text side, so actually I'm going to add Foothill College and then press return. It also adds the extra space there. So I could go in and just take it out by selecting it and setting the space before back to 0. I want to look at my business card actual size, not like this great big filling the screen image. So I'm going to do Command 1 on my keyboard to set it back to 100%. And I want to turn off the guides so I can see it without those. So we're going to go to View, Screen Mode, and switch to Preview. Okay, so this is my new business card. I'm using colors selected right from the imported graphic. Okay, now we're going to go to page 3. We'll turn our screen mode back to normal and go back to filling the screen with Command or Control 0. Designers often work with clients on projects that require specific colors, or to make sure that the client, the designer, and potentially the print shop or wherever it's going afterwards all understand exactly what the color is. We use a system that's created by Pantone, where each color has a specific formula. And that formula determines what the color looks like, regardless of how it looks on your screen. So anywhere you have it printed that uses the Pantone system will print it with exactly the same colors. So for instance, if AT&T was your client and you needed to get the right blue, you would see that the Pantone number is 2925. Okay, so that's the form. That would be a formula that would give you exactly this color blue on any printing press anywhere. Okay, so in this business card, we will use Pantone Colors inside InDesign. So let's get our logo and go to File, Place. And this time we're going to use Ligature White. Click Open and click it on the graphics frame on the right-hand side. Go to your Properties panel and fit frame proportionally. Okay, so now it's nicely in the middle of the frame. Okay, we're going to add some color to the logo first, and then we'll reuse it for the type. So we're going to go to our Swatches panel, click open the menu here, and choose New Color Swatch. For our color mode, we're going to choose Pantone Solid Coated. And then you can scroll through all the numbers for all the formulas here. On this assignment, we want to use a number 255, so we can just type it in since we know what we want. It's a nice purple color, or you could scroll down until you find it. Okay, click OK. Right, and unfortunately, it went into the stroke of that frame and not the fill. Right, so we'll just click the little corner arrow up here to flip it into the fill. So we have a really dark purple background behind our logo. We want to make it a little lighter. Okay, click on the little purple color swatch to make sure it's in front. Then we'll open the tint slider and go down to about 60 to make the background a lot lighter. We want to save this color as well because we'll use it in the text too. So we'll just grab it from the top of the swatches panel and drop it at the bottom. So now it's a color that we can reuse exactly as it is. And now we're going to type in our information in the text box. So remember, we need to get our text tool and then also press Command or Control and Shift to activate our text box. I'm going to pick another font. This time I'm going to pick a very narrow font. So I'm sure you don't have the same as me, but you can look through your list and get something that's really narrow. All right, and then use Command or Control Shift and comma to make it small enough so that it all fits inside the box. That's really small. I think I'll make adjustments later, but I'm going to first of all take the top line and change it to all uppercase. So I can get that in my Properties panel under Character. If I open up the extra dots there, this double T down here will change it all to all caps. Okay, and now I'll use Command Shift or Control Shift and period to make that as wide as the box. Okay, I want that to be the dark purple color. So while it's selected, I'll just go to the Swatches panel and click the Pantone 255. Okay, and then I'm going to take the address text and I want that to be the tint color, the 255 60%. So I'll pick that in the swatches list. And then I'll take the URL at the bottom, and I want that to be the blue of the logo. Okay, and that's actually the blue that's already been imported over here. I'm going to make that a little bigger, so Command or Control Shift period, too much, to there. And I want to move the text all down to the lower part, or I want to move it all down to the bottom half of the card. So I will take my selection tool and I can just grab the center of the box top and slide that down about halfway to here. I'm going to actually put a guide on the bottom of my logo and then move this up so that the URL sits on that same guide like that. So when I'm finished, I want to go back and look at it in actual size. So that would be Command or Control 1. And I want to turn off the guides by going to the View, Screen Mode, and Preview.